Welcome to Life in Sirens, Behind and on the Scene, a podcast by first responders. We're your hosts, Sophie,
Jamie,
and Aubrey.
The content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of any medical institutions, emergency medical services, or healthcare organizations. Patient privacy is a top priority, and all discussions involving real-world emergency situations are de-identified and altered to ensure confidentiality. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional or your local EMS protocols before making any decisions regarding patient care or medical practices. Listener discretion is advised, as some topics may include discussions of real-world emergency situations.
Poison is one of the oldest weapons in human history. It requires no strength, no speed, no confrontation. It only requires time. Ancient rulers feared it. Kings employed tasters to guard against it. And wars were fought because of suspicion of it. Poison is quiet. It does not shatter glass. It does not leave shell casings. It does not scream. It enters the body in silence and begins its work long before anyone realizes something is wrong. In July of 2023, in a rural region of Victoria, Australia, a small group of people gathered for lunch. There were no sirens, no flashing lights, no raised voices. There was conversation, there was familiarity, there was trust. The meal was carefully prepared, presented with intention, and served at a dining table where relationships had been built over decades. And somewhere between the first bite of pastry and the first wave of nausea hours later, a fatal process had already begun. Because the most dangerous poisons do not announce themselves with violence, they disguise themselves as normal. They mimic benign illness. They allow false reassurance. And for clinicians, that deception can be deadly. Today's episode is about one of the most disturbing modern poisoning cases in the world. But it is also about something deeper. It is about the limits of perception, the fragility of clinical certainty, and the uncomfortable truth that some patients who appear stable are already moving towards catastrophe. This is the story of the death cap mushroom murders.
This one stayed with me a lot after we started researching it.
Same, because it felt so ordinary at the beginning.
That's exactly why we chose it. True crime is often dramatic, violent, and chaotic. This case isn't. It is quiet, domestic, methodical. And medically, it is terrifying.
Victoria is not a place most people associate with high-profile crime. It's farmland, small towns, communities where people recognize each other at the grocery store. Life moves differently there. Slower, more contained. Family relationships are often deeply intertwined. And like many families, this one was complex. Erin Patterson was separated from her husband Simon. Despite that separation, she maintained contact with his family. That detail matters psychologically, because poisoning cases often occur within intimate networks. People who trust each other, people who lower their guard. The lunch invitation was extended. Dawn and Gail Patterson, Simon's parents, accepted. Also invited were Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, and Heather's husband, Ian. Simon himself was invited. He declined. The absence would later become a haunting footnote, but at the time, it was simply logistics. The table was set, the meal prepared. Beef Wellington, a dish that requires planning, layers, precision, timing. It's not fast food. It is not casual.
That's why it's actually so sinister.
Yes, because
she's like, I'm going to give you a great last meal.
Because that is hard to make.
That's psycho, actually. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
Right? Yep. It's the kind of meal you prepare when presentation matters. And that detail would later shape public perception. Because poison rarely appears chaotic. It appears intentional. They sat together, they ate. There were conversations about ordinary things, weather, family, life. There was no visible danger. There was no reason for alarm. And yet, the most important moment of the entire story had already passed. The moment of ingestion.
That's chilling. Because from a medical standpoint, once the toxin is absorbed, the outcome is already being written.
And nobody knows at the table except for her.
Part 2. The delay. One of the defining features of death cat poisoning is the delay. This toxin does not cause immediate distress. There is a window, sometimes many hours, where patients feel completely normal. They may drive home, watch TV, go to sleep. This phase is clinically dangerous because it builds false security. Inside the body, amatoxins are being absorbed through the GI tract. They travel through the portal circulation directly to the liver. There they interfere with RNA polymerase, a key mechanism required for protein synthesis. Without protein synthesis, cells cannot maintain integrity. Hepatocytes begin to die, but the patient feels nothing. This disconnect between physiology and perception is one of the most sinister aspects of the poison. It creates a gap between reality and experience. And in medicine, that gap can be lethal. Eventually, the symptoms begin, subtle at first. A vague sense of nausea, a heaviness in the abdomen, fatigue. Then the vomiting starts, and it is not mild. It is forceful, repeated, draining. Diarrhea follows, sometimes severe enough to cause rapid fluid depletion. Patients become pale, weak, hypotensive. At this stage, the illness looks like it's a GI issue. And this is where emergency clinicians must be careful, because the visible symptoms are not the true danger. They're just the warning sign.
Part 3. Extreme clinical detail. Let's slow down here, because this is where the medical story becomes critical. Amatoxin poisoning progresses through phases. But those phases are not just theoretical, they represent evolving organ failure. The toxins bind within liver cells. It disrupts transcription. Cells cannot produce essential proteins. This leads to apoptosis and necrosis. Laboratory values may still appear normal. Clinically, the patient appears stable. This is the phase where early recognition would matter most. But it is also the phase where recognition is the hardest. Gastrointestinal phase is massive fluid loss, electrolytes become deranged, metabolic acidosis might develop, renal perfusion decreases, and from an EMS perspective, this is where interventions begin. IV access, crystalloid resuscitation, antiemetics, and monitoring. But the underlying hepatic injury continues regardless of supportive care. Next, there's apparent recovery phase. This is the toxin's deception. Symptoms improve, patients regain appetite and strength returns, and providers may even discharge. But internally, AST and ALT rise dramatically, INR begins to prolong, bilirubin accumulates, and glucogenesis fails. Hypoglycemia risk increases, and this is the moment where transfer to higher care may be life-saving. Hepatic failure. Now the clinical picture changes dramatically. Patients develop jaundice, altered mental status, hepatic encephalopathy, bleeding tendencies, renal failure, and cardiovascular instability. At this stage, liver transplantation may be the only definitive treatment.
And that progression can happen over just days.
Which means the original EMS encounter may feel disconnected from the final outcome.
Exactly, and that is why education matters.
EMS scene reconstruction. Imagine the call. Dispatch tones drop, multiple patients vomiting. You arrive. The house smells faintly of illness. Trash cans nearby contain vomit. Family members look frightened. Vitals. Heart rate 110. Blood pressure borderline. Dry mucous membranes. They tell you they all ate together. This is the critical clue. Cluster exposure. From here, scene medicine becomes detective work. Questions matter. What did you eat? Where did the ingredients come from? When did symptoms start? Is anyone worse? These answers can change hospital response. History is sometimes more important than any monitor because the toxins will not show up on your cardiac leads.
Part 5. Aftermath and global shock. As days passed, the severity of illness becomes clear. 3 lives were lost. 1 person survived after prolonged critical illness. Investigators began piecing together events. Media coverage intensified. The idea that the home-cooked meal could become a lethal event captured global attention, because poisoning attacks our deepest sense of safety. It transforms ordinary acts, eating, trusting, into sources of fear.
For clinicians, this story is not just about crime. It's about humility. It's about recognizing that disease does not always follow obvious patterns. It's about resisting cognitive bias, and it's about asking one more question, because sometimes that question reveals a toxin, hiding behind something that looks routine.
Poison teaches us that danger can be quiet, that illness can be deceptive, that certainty in medicine is often temporary, and that the patient in front of you tonight may be the beginning of a story you cannot see yet. Alright, well, let's talk about it. First of all, you're probably never going to guess this, ever.
Nope.
I can't see how you could, but I think it's a good reminder of, like, you could be treating something that seems like a benign illness, and I know we've talked about this on the show before, and then, like, you go look at the outcome, and you're like, expired?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought they just had, like, the stomach
GI
flu
bug.
or
Yeah.
something.
For sure.
It definitely puts things into perspective. This is a very interesting case.
I also think this case is cool from an EMS perspective because I think it's just another reinforcement of, like, your spidey senses. Like, how often do you get called to multiple people, nausea, vomiting, that it starts at the exact same time?
Yeah.
Like, we go all the time for, like, my kid goes to daycare and they caught a stomach bug. Now I have a stomach bug and my kid has a stomach bug. But
Not like
there was something.
we all ate lunch together and
Yes.
exactly 3 hours later we've all started vomiting and shitting our pants.
I would
Yes.
also think, oh, like, someone has food poisoning.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that any of us would miss food poisoning.
Right.
I think all of us would put together, like, you guys all ate lunch together, now you're all sick, you have food poisoning.
Yeah.
But I would not jump to, like,
I would never jump to
who
this.
cooked that? Oh, my...
They put poison in it.
Yes, my ex-daughter-in-law, she poisoned you.
Yeah.
You know, now, if you did know that it was the ex-daughter-in-law, you may get some weird spidey senses about that.
And honestly, a lot of the true crime cases that are covered or that we cover are, like, old. This happened in 2023.
Oh, yeah. And
Yeah.
Like, this just happened just now.
and that she decided to off his whole family, even though he declined the invitation. Like, he was supposed to be there.
Yeah, what was she going to do with him?
I think probably just kill him too. But
Yeah.
then he was like, no thanks. And she was like, I'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, so the victims were Don Patterson, 70, Gail Patterson, 70, Heather Wilkinson, 66, and then Ian Wilkinson, he survived.
He
He
survived.
somehow survived. I mean, maybe liver dialysis, or...
Yeah, maybe.
It's pretty wild that she was like, yeah, I'm going to cook... Okay, that is just the most effort. Beef Wellington. I wonder why she
And-
picked beef Wellington.
And did she make 2?
Yeah, what did she eat?
Because she had to eat with them.
Yeah. I mean, and she wasn't even convicted until July 2025.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, guys, this just happened.
This just happened.
Yeah.
I have a whole timeline here.
Yeah,
of
share
how
us the
this
timeline.
of how this case kind of unfolded. Okay, so we're talking about 2023. July 16th is when Erin invites her estranged husband Simon, Simon's parents Gail and Dawn, and Simon's aunt and uncle Heather and Ian, all to lunch at her house in the next following weeks. So about a week later, on July 28th, Simon texts her and says, yeah, I'm not going to be coming to that, as a matter of fact. On July 29th, Erin, Gail, Dawn, Heather, and Ian all attend lunch together. On July 30th, so the very next day, Gail, Dawn, Heather, and Ian are all admitted to the hospital at various points throughout the day, believing that they have food poisoning, which that tracks.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
Yeah, me too. But I would immediately be like, hey, sketchy ex-lady of our family that we for some reason still hang out with, do you have food poisoning?
Yeah, why does she not, like, what? She's just unscathed? That's sketchy.
She's not unscathed. So listen. That same day that everybody gets admitted to the hospital, there is footage of Erin going into footage from a gas station where she goes into a bathroom for 9 seconds and then goes back out of the bathroom.
9 seconds.
9 seconds. What are you doing in there for 9
Commit
seconds?
to the bit, Erin. What is going on?
Exactly. Well, then, July 31st, so the very next day after that, after all of the family members have been admitted, she does the sketchy bathroom
She was
thing.
like, oh shit, I look suspicious.
I look suspicious as all get out. Why didn't I get food poisoning? She then goes to the hospital herself with the same symptoms, but leaves AMA. Classic.
Because they were probably like, what the frick?
You don't actually, you've not
Yeah,
thrown up one time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then on August 4th, Heather and Gail both pass away. August 5th, Dawn passes away. September 23rd, so this is
Oh my goodness.
a long time. Ian is discharged from the hospital after spending all of that time in the ICU.
Liver dialysis or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then a transplant probably.
Yeah. And then fast forward to April, the end of April in 2025. That's when her trial begins, and then she was found guilty on July 7th
2025.
of 2025.
Did she ever say why she did it?
Well,
Or is she still trying to be like, no, I didn't? That's what I want to know. I always like to know the why. Because they obviously trusted her enough and were close enough still to, like, accept an invitation to lunch and, like, all go over to her house and let her cook for them.
Even with a conviction, motive in this case remains interpreted but not proven with certainty.
Oh, bummer drag.
There's got to be some details.
Yeah, like, does her ex-husband know why? Does Simon?
Yeah.
Because that
What
is
does
just...
Simon say? Simon says.
Because that is just unhinged. Like...
Oh, so when she served the food, she served it to all of the family members on gray plates, and the plate she ate off of was an orange plate. So I guess she had pre-served it, and then just gave them the plates. So hers was clean, but she was smart enough to color code it, so she didn't get mixed up.
So what's crazy is they think that she just foraged them.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys can literally find these
She went
out
and
in the
found
wild.
them,
She
yeah.
went and found them, and she did do some research, so they kind of found that on her phone.
Yeah.
But, like, that's crazy that you can just, like, go grab some poison.
Right, you could just Google, like, red cap mushrooms and then go find them.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the poisons that exist in the wild, because I think there's some like digoxin.
Yeah.
So apparently she made a plate for Simon in case he changed his mind, but he never came over, so there was an extra plate in the fridge.
Oh my gosh.
So they
It better have been some damn good beef Wellington.
Yeah.
hope.
There's poison hemlock.
Did you know you can get rice poisoning?
Reheated
Yeah.
rice syndrome?
Dude, that freaks me the F
too.
out.
I'm like, get that
Especially-
rice in the fridge right now, right now.
Yes.
Yeah, especially because I do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not give myself reheated rice syndrome, but I reheat rice often.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so poison hemlock occurs naturally.
That's
And it kills by paralyzing respiratory muscles. And it looks like a wild carrot. It's called Queen Anne's lace.
What?
Queen Anne's lace.
It's found all over Tennessee, or all over the U.S., including Tennessee.
And we live in Tennessee, guys, in case
Mhm.
you're wondering.
It is the most famous for killing Socrates. Oleander.
It's a classic.
It's a
Oh my
beautiful,
gosh.
beautiful plant. But it contains
It
cardiac
does look like
glycosides like DIG.
Mm-hmm.
Even a few leaves can be lethal. Even smoke from burning it is toxic.
I didn't know that. That's terrifying.
Mhm.
Here's another one that we have all over in the South. Pokeweed. Do you guys know what pokeweed is?
Mm-mm.
You should look up a picture of it. It's like if you Google it, you will recognize it immediately. But it has large green leaves, and then it has like these little like berry-looking things that they're in the shape of a banana almost.
Oh, yeah.
But they're small little like
that was a good description,
grape-looking
actually.
ones. Thank you. They are They are very toxic.
Hmm.
They can, so they like mostly cause GI distress, but they can cause respiratory depression, which is
Oh.
crazy. Yeah.
It
But-
is just wild. You can just be. The
Just
thing
out
is,
here
why
dying.
man,
Right, just don't
weed's
eat
illegal,
random
but
stuff.
this isn't. I'm
Well,
just saying.
fun fact. Did you know that there is a plant that looks exactly like cannabis, smells like cannabis? It is like very closely, obviously, related to a cannabis plant, but it doesn't, it does flower, but it does not produce like flower that you can harvest and then smoke.
Interesting.
And it is called Cleome. You should look it up. It looks
I think
exactly
we
like
talked
weed.
about this once.
Yeah. And you can buy it in like any garden center, and you'll walk past it and you'll smell it. You'll be like, oh, there's just a cannabis
They
plant.
didn't. Why do they have it at
Cleome.
garden centers?
It does produce like pretty flowers.
Oh.
It's just an annual. So
Interesting.
Oh my goodness.
yeah, we used to sell it at the garden center that I worked at.
This is wild. Water hemlock. It is like pretty little white flowers that I guess grow in like swampy areas. It's the most toxic plant in North America,
Oh my gosh.
and it causes rapid seizures and death within minutes.
Oh wow.
Are you joking?
Nope.
Are you joking?
It's just immediate dead.
What do you mean? Why?
Mhm.
What is it called?
Water hemlock.
What? And it just grows rampant in our country, and we
Mhm.
just whatever.
We're just okay with it. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh,
I
and
think
then-
I've played with this plant before.
No.
What?
It's bad
I
for
ha-
you.
I didn't eat it. I didn't eat it.
Wait, this grows everywhere.
Yeah.
I see this on the side of the road all the time.
It's bad for you.
Oh my gosh.
Don't eat it.
Why?
Or touch it if it is what we're referring to is a poison dart frog.
Oh.
Because a poison dart frog, their skin secretions are a toxin that will stop your sodium channels and instantly paralyze you.
All this stuff paralyzes you. So does this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some poisons are way too conveniently found in the middle of the woods or the side of
Mhm.
the road, and that a little bit freaks me out.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a crime scene. It looked like lunch. 4 people sat down together in rural Australia. A familiar dish, a trusted host, and nothing out of place. Within hours, they were sick, and within days, 3 were dead. This case, now known as Leongatha mushroom murders, wasn't solved by what was obvious, because nothing about it was obvious. No trauma, no weapon, no immediate red flags. Just symptoms that looked like something we see every day. Nausea, vomiting, probably food poisoning. But underneath that, a toxin that doesn't show itself right away, a timeline that lies to you, and a disease process that gets quieter before it gets fatal. Because this isn't just about what happened at that table. It's about what happens on our truck. The most dangerous patients are the ones who don't look dangerous yet. This is the call you almost downgrade, the one you reassure, the one that feels routine, until it isn't. It's the patient who says, I actually feel a little better now. And you have to know that's not improvement, that's progression in this case. But it's also a reminder that we will never know it all. In this moment, you ask one more question, you recognize the pattern, and you decide it could be more than GI upset. You treat every patient with caution. We may never fully understand why Erin Patterson did what she did, but we can understand this. Not every threat announces itself. Some of them sit quietly at the table. In EMS, we're trained to respond to what we see. But the calls that define us may be the ones where we recognize what we can't. Well, that was spooky.
Don't like.
Spooky.
If this episode brought you value, take a moment to rate and review the show. It helps more providers find us. Follow Life in Sirens, join our mailing list for exclusive content, and visit lifeinsirenspodcast.com for resources and downloadables built for the modern provider. And if this conversation made you think, send it to your partner, your preceptee, or someone on your crew, because better providers build better systems.
This has been Life in Sirens, produced by 3 nerds trying to bring you content that you might actually care about.